Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Yonit Arthur. I'm an audiologist and coach. You are on the Steady Coach. Today, we're going to be talking about 5 easy things you should all be doing today, starting today, to help improve your progress and help you recover from neural circuit dizziness and other symptoms like medically unexplained tinnitus, sound sensitivity, fatigue, visual symptoms, and more. Now, in general, my channel is not just about 5 easy things or 5 simple hacks, but the truth is that often recovery can seem totally overwhelming, especially if you're new to my channel or neural circuit recovery methods in general. In theory, while your nervous system just essentially needs you to help it feel safe again, and that's the solution to this neural circuit problem you're having, in practice, that can take a lot of repetition and a lot of trial and error. This often leads people to not know where to start. This is also why I very, very strongly encourage you, if you are new to my work or neural circuit methods in general, please, please, please take the free course. The reason I have a free course is because folks like you came in the comment section and said, I don't know how to put any of this together, these 15-minute segments of information. The free course does that for you. It takes all my YouTube videos, explains them in context, and puts them into a sequence that makes sense for the recovery process. It is completely free. It is my gift to the world. You can sign up anytime on my website, thesteadycoach.com/free-course. That all being said, these are 5 things you can implement immediately without changing anything else. And I know that these particular things are what I think of as low-hanging fruit. Easy things you can change today that are going to further your recovery. Number 1, slow the F down. That's right, slow the F down. The urgency, the hurrying, the trying to get as quickly as possible from A to B, both in recovery and in life, those things are increasing your nervous system's perception that things are bad, dangerous, and it should focus your attention on those things. This is the absolute opposite of what you want during the recovery process. You want your nervous system to learn that symptoms, triggers, and indeed life in general are not very dangerous things that it needs to provoke a really strong threat response to or shut you down in response to. You want your nervous system to say, hey, I can respond appropriately to this, and then go back into recovery or rest and digest mode. In order to do that, you need to slow down. So to implement this today, just ask yourself what you're doing today and check what can you do in a slower, more deliberate, less urgent way. Number 2, 3 things you're grateful for. Our brains have something called a negativity bias, which means essentially your brain is much more interested in things that are dangerous, bad, or worrisome than it's interested in things that are good and pleasant. The reason is that your brain is much more interested in your survival than in your enjoyment and your comfort. It will preferentially remember things and highlight things that are not going well versus things that are going well. It is therefore a useful idea to start listing at the end of the day 3 things that went well, 3 things that you're grateful for, 3 things that were somewhat pleasant. These can be small things, but you want to draw your brain's attention to those things and let it know that you're interested in those things, that those are worth paying attention to. Now, please do note here that by listing 3 positive things, I'm not asking you to bypass any difficult or negative experiences. That is not the path to recovery. At the same time, it is worth spending some time countering your brain's own negativity bias. Number 3, compassionate self-talk. If you're not new to my work, you know that in order to get better from neural circuit dizziness or other symptoms, PPPD, MdDS, vestibular migraine, and many other diagnoses, one of the main components of recovery is helping your nervous system feel safe. Right now, Your nervous system is over-responding with a threat response to triggers and symptoms, both triggers on the outside and, importantly, triggers on the inside, like thoughts and feelings. In this very sensitized state, your brain tends to make more mistakes in regards to what other things it thinks are dangerous. So, by reducing how sensitized your nervous system is, in other words, how much danger your brain is perceiving all around and inside you, you're going to help yourself break the cycle of chronic symptoms. If this sounds totally new to you and you're new to my channel, again, very strongly recommend you pause the video, watch some of the introductory content, or take the free course. But to that end, one of the greatest sources of perceived danger in your life is how you talk to yourself in your own head, how you react to things that have gone wrong on the outside, and how you react to unpleasant or difficult experiences that are going on the inside. So one very quick and easy thing you can start doing today is paying attention to how you talk to yourself when things happen. Symptom things or non-symptom things. Maybe you spill something on the floor. Maybe you trip over something. Maybe you say something to someone that you didn't mean. Maybe you're beating yourself up for not being as active as you want to be. All of these are opportunities for you to change the way that you're talking to yourself. And an easy way to do this is to simply notice how you're currently talking to yourself, and then ask yourself, if my friend or loved one went through this exact scenario that I just went through, how would I respond to them? There is usually a bit of a gap in how we talk to ourselves versus how we talk to treasured people in our lives. So you can create kind of a script for yourself. When you catch yourself speaking poorly to yourself, you can then stop and read the script of how you'd like to respond instead. This is a method that I would describe as counteractive, meaning it takes some effort for you to build new habits around how you talk to yourself. For some of you, this is going to solve the problem because the way that you speak to yourself is really just a habit and not from some other deeper source of tension or stress. For others of you, the way that you talk to yourself is an adaptive strategy. It's a way of looking at yourself and the world that you developed a long time ago in response to stress. And this may be something you'll need to dig into a little bit more as you go through recovery. But talking more kindly to yourself, super low-hanging fruit, and you should be starting today. Number 4, get off your device. I know you're on your device right now if you're listening to me, and I'm happy to provide you with information and reassurance, but many of you are spending way too much time focusing on consuming symptom-related content. Now, again, this may be an improvement for many of you because before you may have been on those very scary social media sites where people are saying nothing but terrible things, and there's a huge selection bias toward people who don't get better. In other words, the only people that you see in those social media groups are the people who didn't get better because the people who did get better are out doing things. So many of you probably know the phrase, fake it till you make it. Would you prefer to be one of the people who sits around talking about and thinking about symptoms all the time, or someone who does stuff other than that? Now, I'm aware that depending on where you are in your recovery process, maybe especially if you're new, you may not have a lot of options for things to do right now. Your ability to move or participate in activities may be limited. But I encourage all of you to think of non-symptom related things that you can do, and also ways of interacting with your world that do not involve looking at a screen. It is perfectly okay to spend a decent chunk of time on screens, especially if that helps you feel connected and safer. But I want you to notice if that's actually the case. And I also want you to pay attention to how much airtime you're giving to symptoms and symptom-related things right now, and ask yourself, is this something I can trim down a bit so I can participate a little bit more in other activities that are not symptom related? And finally, number 5, move toward. Move toward symptoms, move toward things you're afraid of, move toward triggers. And many people have asked me, what in the heck do people mean when they say lean in, move toward? It sounds like some kind of mystical process. It is actually very, very easy and very, very simple. You notice something that you've been avoiding, symptoms, triggers, feelings, stressors, and you deliberately engage in some way with that thing, despite knowing that it could be unpleasant and hard. It's a vote of confidence in yourself. You're saying to yourself, okay, I'm afraid of that particular trigger. Like maybe I'm afraid to go down the grocery store aisle, or maybe I'm afraid to walk to the mailbox. Turning toward, moving toward, leaning in, that simply means I'm going to choose to do that thing, even knowing that it might be hard, might be scary, might bring up my anxiety, because I have the confidence in myself to know that I can handle whatever unpleasant or difficult feelings come up. I've said this in previous content, but I want to repeat this because this is probably one of the most central tenets of everything that I'm trying to teach people on my channel. Something does not have to feel good for it to be effective and good for your progress. Progress does not always feel pleasant. You are not trying to move toward or lean into things and then necessarily have them feel pleasant right away. In fact, it's very likely that they will not feel pleasant because those things currently are things that your brain thinks are dangerous. Progress happens when, despite not knowing if it's going to feel good or not, you are finding within yourself the courage to be with whatever comes up. You're not trying to reduce fear. You're not trying to reduce anxiety in those moments. You're going in accepting that those things may happen and knowing deep down that you have the capacity to contain them. This is why often this moving toward process happens in stages, where people start with relatively small, easier things and then progress from there. That process I just talked about, in which you're able to contain your experiences rather than completely drowning and being overwhelmed by them, is a skill that takes time to develop. So you can start with relatively small things that you're avoiding, maybe symptoms or triggers that are less frightening to you, and work your way up. Some of you who are familiar with my work may recognize that what I just described sounds a little bit like somatic tracking. And indeed, somatic tracking is one of the tools that you can use to do this particular thing, move toward or lean in. But there is absolutely no need to do a formal meditation to do what I'm talking about. So for those of you who want some more ideas about how you can implement this, I have a video on how to do exposure. That's also going to be linked to in the video description. So there you go, 5 easy things you should be implementing today that will boost and progress your recovery from neural circuit dizziness and other symptoms. Looking forward to your questions and comments on this one, and also looking forward to hearing how it goes when you implement these 5 things. Please like, share, subscribe to my channel. These things help me reach more people, and that is deeply important to me. I want everyone to have access to these tools and the knowledge and hope that they can recover. All right, take care, everyone. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.